Top 10 Rhetoric Research Topics. The key concepts of rhetorical analysis. Rhetorical analysis aims to highlight the strategies used by the author of the text to influence readers or listeners. The main concepts used include logos, ethos, and pathos appeals, which together form the methods of persuasion. Another critical group of concepts is connected to the context of communication, including the author, audience, and purpose. We invite you to discuss these notions in your paper. History of rhetoric. Rhetoric as an art was born when speakers needed tools to influence listeners, that is, a very long time ago. Ancient philosophers such as Socrates and Aristotle considered rhetoric an essential part of civic life that can influence society. Aristotle divided rhetoric into political, forensic, and ceremonial. In your paper, discuss the key milestones in the development of this art. Political speech analysis. Analysis of political speech is one of the most common forms of rhetorical analysis. In your work, you could analyze the rhetoric used in political speech. Focus on persuasion strategies and emotional appeals. Considering a specific address in your analysis will be an excellent idea. For instance, you could focus on Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, regarded as one of the greatest speeches in American history. The role of rhetoric in advertising. As the role of ads grows, their producers begin using more sophisticated methods to convince their target audiences. Visual elements, like pictures, are essential in this. In your paper, you can focus on how rhetoric shapes advertising messages. Discuss the use of persuasive techniques, visual elements, and language to influence consumer behavior. Visual rhetoric in political cartoons. Political caricature is a long-standing genre that still retains its popularity. In your work, you can consider visual rhetorical devices used by political cartoonists. Some of them are symbolism, exaggeration, labeling, analogy, and irony. How do political cartoons use visuals and symbolism to convey complex messages? What are the rhetorical strategies behind satirical illustrations? These questions are worth discussing. Rhetoric and social protest. The main goal of an opposition leader is to attract as many supporters as possible by convincing people of the fairness of their ideas. They often have to act under pressure from the state, especially in authoritarian regimes. In your article, you can focus on the rhetoric used by protest movements to raise awareness and demand change. Analyze how slogans, chants, and speeches promote activism. Additionally, include real-life examples. Lincoln's and Dickinson's rhetorical discourses. Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address and Emily Dickinson's success as Counted Sweetest can be regarded as an illustration of close ties between poetics and rhetoric. In your paper, you can consider the use of such rhetorical means as argument, appeal, arrangement, and artistic devices in these two works to understand that the line between the two pieces of writing is somewhat blurred. Anti-communist rhetoric in American politics. Paranoia as a social phenomenon is often used in politics to create the image of the enemy. One of the bright examples of such manipulation is the cultivation of the irrational fear of communism during the Cold War by Senator Joseph McCarthy. In his famous speech, he cultivated the idea of a significant threat of communism and contributed to the emergence of paranoia. This speech provides excellent material for rhetorical analysis. Rhetorical analysis of John F. Kennedy's inaugural address. John Kennedy was a good orator who delivered compelling messages. Probably the best one was his inaugural address. Faced with crises, Kennedy attempted to manage the crisis and manipulate it to further political, social, and philosophical agendas. In your paper, you could look at Kennedy's inaugural speech of 1961, focusing on the rhetorical appeals he used. Steve Jobs' Commencement, Rhetorical Analysis. The famous speech by Steve Jobs was part of Stanford University's graduation ceremony in 2005. During the ceremony, students get a chance to listen to advice from popular people. In his speech, Jobs described several lessons from his life that helped him become successful and overcome failure. A paper on the topic will aim to analyze the commencement speech by Jobs and discuss its artistic measures. Find more research topics on studycorgi.com.